The council chamber was massive. Hundreds of beings from different worlds sat in curved rows that reached up to the ceiling. Their voices filled the space with sounds that ranged from clicks to hums to deep rumbles. At the center of it all stood Hyo-Rin, the human ambassador. She looked small compared to most of the other species. Dal-Nim rose from his seat. He was tall and covered in dark green scales. His eyes were cold and yellow. He had been speaking against humanity for the past hour. His voice carried across the chamber without effort. "Humans are weak," Dal-Nim said. "They have no natural armor. No claws, no venom. They come from a world that is barely dangerous. They have been asking for full membership for 3 cycles now. Each time we have denied them. Each time they come back with the same weak arguments about their technology and their diplomacy. But the Galactic Council was built by warriors, by species that proved themselves in blood and battle." Hyo-Rin kept her face calm. She had heard these words before. But today felt different. There was something in Dal-Nim's tone. Something final. "I propose a solution," Dal-Nim continued. "The arena of proving. Let humanity send 1 champion to face the test. If they survive, we grant them membership. If they fail, they withdraw their application for 50 cycles." The chamber erupted in noise. Some species clicked their approval. Others made sounds of surprise. Hyo-Rin felt her stomach drop. The arena of proving. She knew the stories. Every species knew the stories. No one had passed the test in 4,000 years. Most champions died within seconds of entering the arena. "That test is impossible," Hyo-Rin said loudly. "It was designed to be failed. The combat beasts in that arena are the most dangerous creatures in known space. You are asking us to send someone to die just so you can deny us membership with a clear conscience." Dal-Nim smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "If humanity is too weak to even try, then perhaps they do not belong in this council at all. The vote will proceed. All in favor of requiring the arena of proving for human membership indicate now." The votes came in quickly, more approved than Hyo-Rin expected. The species that had been neutral now saw an easy way to solve the human question. Let the arena decide. The motion passed. Humanity had 1 month to present a champion. Hyo-Rin left the chamber in silence. Her mind was racing. How could she ask anyone to volunteer for certain death? Human military forces were skilled, but they were not trained for this kind of combat. The arena was not about tactics or technology. It was about raw survival against creatures that evolution had turned into perfect killers. Outside the chamber, a man was waiting. He was leaning against the wall with his hands in his pockets. He wore the simple gray uniform of a cargo pilot. His name badge said Taesung. Hyo-Rin had seen him before. He delivered supplies to the station every few weeks. "I heard what happened in there," Taesung said. His voice was quiet and calm. Hyo-Rin nodded. She did not trust herself to speak yet. "Tell me about the beasts," Taesung said. She looked at him carefully. "Why do you want to know?" "Just curious," he said. Hyo-Rin sighed. Maybe talking about it would help her think. The arena holds predators from death worlds. Worlds where the conditions are so harsh that only the deadliest creatures survive. Some have claws that can cut through metal. Some have venom that stops your heart in seconds. Some can attack your mind directly and make you freeze with fear. Some are strong enough to crush bones with a casual swipe. "How many beasts?" Taesung asked. "They release them in waves. Usually starts with 1. Then more if the champion survives. The record is facing 3 beasts before death. That champion lasted 2 minutes. Taesung was quiet for a moment. He seemed to be thinking about something. Then he looked at Hyo-Rin directly. "I will do it." "Do what?" she asked. "The arena." "I volunteer." Hyo-Rin stared at him. "You cannot be serious. You are a cargo pilot. You deliver supplies. You have no combat training. You would be throwing your life away for nothing." "Maybe," Taesung said. "Oh, but someone has to try. And I am volunteering. The regulations say any human can volunteer. You have to accept me." He was right. The regulations were clear. Any member of a species could volunteer for the arena. There were no requirements about training or experience. The test was supposed to reveal natural strength and courage. Refusing a volunteer would be seen as an admission that humanity had no one brave enough to try. "Why?" Hyo-Rin asked quietly. "Why would you do this?" Taesung shrugged. "Because if I do not, someone else will have to. And maybe I can do better than people think." She wanted to argue. She wanted to tell him this was suicide. But she saw something in his eyes that stopped her. He was not being brave or heroic. He was not even confident. He was just certain. like he had already made up his mind and nothing would change it. "Fine," she said finally. "I will submit your name. The arena will be scheduled for 1 week from now. That gives you time to prepare, or to change your mind." "I will not change my mind," Taesung said. Over the next few days, news spread across the galaxy. Humanity had found a champion, a cargo pilot named Taesung. The betting markets opened immediately. Most gave him a survival time of 8 seconds. Some more generous estimates went as high as 15 seconds. No one expected him to last even 1 minute. Dalnim heard the news and laughed. A cargo pilot. Not even a soldier. Not even someone with combat experience. This would be the perfect demonstration of human weakness. The entire galaxy would watch this foolish species send an ordinary civilian to face monsters. After this failure, humans would never dare ask for membership again. The day before the arena, Hyorin took Taesung to the viewing chamber. It was a room built above the arena floor with thick windows that allowed visitors to look down at the space below. The arena was huge. The floor was covered in sand that had been stained dark from old blood. Along the walls were gates. Behind each gate was a holding cell for the combat beasts. Taesung stood at the window and looked down. The beasts were not visible, but sounds came from the cells. Roars, clicks, hissing, the noise of creatures that existed only to hunt and kill. "You can still withdraw," Hyorin said. "There is no shame in admitting this is impossible." Taesung did not answer right away. He kept watching the arena below. Then he said something strange. "They remind me of the dogs at the shelter where I grew up." Hyorin frowned. "What do you mean?" "Scared, angry, confused. All of them looking for someone to tell them what to do. Looking for the alpha." "These are not dogs," Hyorin said. "These are predators that have killed trained warriors from dozens of species. They do not need an alpha. They need prey." Taesung smiled slightly. "Maybe. We will find out tomorrow." He turned away from the window. His face was calm, not the calmness of someone who had accepted death. The calmness of someone who knew exactly what they were going to do. Hyorin watched him leave and felt a strange sensation. For the first time since the council vote, she felt something that might have been hope. It was small and probably foolish, but it was there. The day of the arena arrived. Across the galaxy, billions of beings tuned in to watch. The broadcast reached every corner of known space. On mining worlds and research stations, on military vessels and pleasure planets, screens showed the same image. The empty arena floor, the closed gates, the waiting crowd. In the preparation chamber beneath the arena, Taesung stood alone. The room was small and cold. Metal walls, a single bench. A door that led to the elevator platform. Byung-ho, the arena master, entered through the side door. He was an old being with gray fur and tired eyes. He had been running the arena for 40 years. He had watched hundreds of champions die. "I must explain the rules," Byung-ho said. His voice was formal but not unkind. "You will be taken to the center of the arena. The platform will lock into place. The first gate will open after a 10-second warning. Your goal is to survive for 30 minutes. Weapons are available if you want them." He gestured to a table against the wall. On it lay several items: a plasma blade that glowed with blue energy, a neural disruptor that could stun creatures from a distance, a kinetic shield that would create a protective barrier. All standard arena equipment. Taesung looked at the weapons. Then he shook his head. "I do not need them," Byung-ho stared at him. "You understand what you are facing. The beasts in this arena are not animals. They are weapons created by evolution. They have killed warriors who were armed and trained. Without weapons, you will die in seconds." "Maybe," Taesung said. "But I will not need the weapons." The arena master opened his mouth to argue. Then he stopped. He had seen this before. Champions who lost their minds with fear, who made irrational decisions. This human was probably already broken. Byung-ho felt a flash of pity. "Very well. The platform is ready. Step on when you are prepared." Taesung walked to the elevator platform. It was a circular piece of metal about 3 meters wide. He stood in the center and took a deep breath. His eyes closed for a moment. When they opened again, they were calm and focused. The platform began to rise. Slowly at first, then faster. It moved up through a shaft and then emerged into the arena. The noise hit like a physical force. Thousands of beings in the stands making sounds of anticipation. The crowd was a mix of every species in the galaxy. Some had come to see justice. Some had come to see blood. All of them expected a quick death. In the council viewing box, Dalneem leaned forward. He sat with other council members in the best seats in the arena. Hyorin was there too, though she looked like she wanted to be anywhere else. Her hands gripped the railing in front of her seat. Her face was pale. The platform locked into place with a heavy clunk. Taesung stood completely still. The sand beneath his feet was dark and stained. The arena was even bigger from the inside. The walls reached up at least 20 meters. The gates that held the beasts were solid metal reinforced with force fields. Each gate had a number. There were 12 gates in total. A voice boomed across the arena. It was Byung-ho speaking through the communication system, champion of humanity. The trial begins in 10 seconds. Survive for 30 minutes and your species will be granted membership in the Galactic Council. May fortune favor you. The countdown appeared on screens around the arena. 10, 9, 8. The crowd noise increased. 7, 6, 5. Hyorin closed her eyes. She could not watch. 4, 3, 2. Dalneem smiled. 1. Gate 1 opened. For a moment there was only darkness behind it. Then something moved. A creature emerged into the light and the crowd gasped. It was massive. 6 legs, each one thick with muscle. Its body was covered in dark armor like scales. Along its spine grew crystalline spikes that reflected the arena lights. Its head was wide and flat with mandibles that dripped yellow venom onto the sand. The venom hissed and steamed where it landed. The creature was called a Skrith. It came from a world where the gravity was twice Earth's standard, where the atmosphere burned with acid rain, where only the deadliest predators survived. This one had been captured at great cost. 3 hunters had died bringing it to the arena. The Skrith saw Taesung, its head lowered, its body tensed. Then it charged. 6 legs moved in perfect coordination. It crossed the arena in seconds. The crowd roared. The betting markets updated. Taesung's survival time dropped to 5 seconds. 4 seconds, 3. Taesung did not move. He stood exactly where he had been when the platform locked. His hands were at his sides. His body was relaxed. His eyes tracked the creature as it rushed toward him. He did not raise his arms to defend. He did not prepare to dodge. He simply watched and waited. The Skrith was 5 meters away. Then 4, then 3. Its mandibles opened wide. The venom dripped faster. It prepared to strike. The crowd held its breath. This was the moment. The moment when another foolish champion would die. But something happened. The Skrith slowed. Not a lot, but enough that the cameras caught it. Its charge became less certain. Its head tilted slightly as if confused. At 2 meters away, it stopped completely. Its 6 legs dug into the sand. Its body remained tense, but it did not advance. The arena went silent. This had never happened before. Combat beasts did not stop. They attacked until their prey was dead or they were dead. That was what they were trained to do. What they were evolved to do. But this creature had stopped. Taesung took a slow breath. Then he took 1 step forward. Just 1 step. Small and controlled, the Skrith's body language changed instantly. Its crystalline spikes began to flatten against its back. Its mandibles closed. Its head lowered further. Not in preparation for attack. In something else. Something that looked almost like submission. Taesung took another step. The Skrith backed up. Another step. The creature retreated further. Its 6 legs moved backward in that same perfect coordination. But now the movement was not aggressive. It was defensive, uncertain, confused. In the viewing box, Hyorin opened her eyes. She had heard the silence and feared the worst. But when she looked down, she saw something impossible. Taesung was walking toward the creature, and the creature was backing away. Her military training kicked in. She recognized the body language. The lowered head. The flattened spikes. The backward movement. She had seen it before in animals on Earth. In dogs and wolves when they met a more dominant pack member. Dalneem stood up from his seat. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Why is the beast not attacking?" Byung-ho was in the control room staring at his instruments. The Skrith's vital signs were normal. Heart rate elevated, but that was expected. No signs of illness or malfunction. The force fields were working correctly. There was no technical explanation for what he was seeing. On the arena floor, Taesung continued his slow advance. The Skrith continued its retreat until its back hit the arena wall. Then it did something that made the entire galaxy watching hold its breath. It lay down. its 6 legs folded beneath its body, its head pressed against the sand. Its throat was exposed. In the language of predators everywhere, it was a gesture of complete submission. Tae-sung stopped 3 meters away. He stood there looking down at the creature that should have killed him in seconds. His face showed no triumph, no surprise, just that same calm certainty. He nodded once as if confirming something he had already known. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, in confusion, in disbelief. In 1,000 different languages, the same questions were being asked. What happened? Why did the beast submit? What did the human do? The betting markets froze. No one knew what odds to give anymore. In the control room, Byung-ho's hand hovered over the gate controls. The rules said if the champion survived the first beast, more would be released. But he hesitated. This was not normal survival. This was not the champion hiding or running or fighting. This was something else entirely, something he did not understand. Dalnim's voice came through the communication channel. Release the next beasts now. Byung-ho took a breath. Then he pressed the controls. Gates 5 and 7 opened simultaneously. 2 more creatures entered the arena. These were different from the Skrith. They were smaller but faster. They had wings. Thin, membranous wings that caught the air and lifted them off the ground. Their bodies were sleek and covered in what looked like metal scales. Their mouths opened to reveal rows of teeth like needles. They were called shriekers. They killed by flying above their prey and emitting sonic screams that could turn organs to liquid. The 2 shriekers circled above the arena. Their wings made sharp cutting sounds as they moved through the air. They saw Tae-sung standing alone in the center. They saw the Skrith lying submissive nearby. They dove toward the human together, their mouths opening to release their deadly screams. The crowd noise returned. Maybe this would be normal. Maybe the human would finally die, but Tae-sung simply looked up at them. His body remained relaxed. His breathing stayed calm, and as the shriekers came closer, something impossible happened again. They slowed. Their flight became uncertain. They circled once more, lower this time. Then they landed, on the sand, 5 meters from where Tae-sung stood, and like the Skrith before them, they lowered their heads and went still. The galaxy watched in complete silence. 3 combat beasts, the most dangerous predators from 3 different death worlds, all of them submitting to a single unarmed human. It made no sense. It violated everything the Galactic Council understood about nature and survival and the order of things. In the viewing box, Hyo-rin leaned forward. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear anymore. From something else. Recognition, maybe. She had served in Earth's military reserves for 6 years. She had trained with soldiers who worked with military dogs. She had seen handlers walk into pens full of aggressive animals and calm them with nothing but presence and body language. But those were Earth animals. These were alien predators from worlds humanity had never even visited. Yet the body language was the same. The lowered heads, the still postures, the exposed throats and vulnerable positions. These creatures were showing submission, perfect instinctive submission, like they recognized something in Tae-sung that overrode their training and their nature. Dalnim slammed his hand against the railing. The metal dented under the impact. This is impossible. The beast must be malfunctioning. Arena Master, check the neural controls. In the control room, Byung-ho was already checking everything. Neural implants, force field stability, chemical balance in the holding cells, environmental controls. Everything was normal. The beasts were healthy and fully functional. They were simply choosing not to attack. No, not choosing. They were unable to attack. Something about the human was preventing them from seeing him as prey. All systems are normal, Byung-ho reported. His voice was quiet with shock. The beasts are responding to the human directly. There is no malfunction. On the arena floor, Tae-sung began to move. He walked slowly between the 3 submitted creatures. His steps were careful but not hesitant, confident but not aggressive. He moved like someone walking through a room full of sleeping pets. Not worried about waking them, just aware of where they were. The Skrith tracked him with its eyes but did not move its body. The 2 shriekers remained on the ground with their wings folded. As Tae-sung passed within touching distance, one of the shriekers made a sound. Not a scream, a soft chirping noise, the kind of sound a young creature might make when seeking approval from a parent. Tae-sung stopped and looked down at the shrieker. For a moment he seemed to consider something. Then he slowly extended his hand. The crowd gasped. The shrieker's teeth could tear through flesh like paper, but the creature did not attack. Instead, it pressed its head against Taesung's palm. Like a dog seeking attention, like a wolf accepting its alpha, the broadcast camera zoomed in on the moment. Billions of beings across the galaxy saw a human gently touching one of the most deadly predators in existence, saw the predator accept the touch with something that looked like contentment. The betting markets crashed completely. No algorithm could process what was happening. Dalnim stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. This is a trick. Some kind of human technology. They have drugged the beasts or placed them under mind control. This trial is invalid, Hyorin found her voice. There is no trick. Check the scans. The beasts are not drugged. They are not controlled. They are responding naturally. This is what humans do. This is what we have always done. Impossible, Dalnim hissed. No species can dominate other predators through presence alone. That is not how evolution works. It is exactly how evolution works on Earth, Hyorin said. Her voice was stronger now, more certain. For millions of years, humans competed with other predators. We did not win through strength or claws or venom. We won through understanding, through becoming the alpha that other species instinctively recognized. Dalnim turned to face her. His yellow eyes were filled with anger and something else. Fear, maybe. If what you say is true, then humans are more dangerous than any warrior species. They could walk into our military compounds and take control of our security forces. They could dominate any creature we use for defense or labor. That is not a species we want in the council. That is a threat. Or, said another council member quietly, it is a gift. Imagine what humans could do for animal control, for dangerous wildlife management, for training security creatures. Perhaps we have been evaluating them incorrectly. Dalnim opened his mouth to argue but was interrupted by a voice from the control room. Byung-ho sounded strange, shaken. Council member Dalnim, you ordered all beasts released if the humans survived the first wave. Do you want me to proceed with that order? There was a moment of silence. Everyone in the viewing box looked at Dalnim. He had made that threat publicly during the council session, promised that if humanity tried the arena, they would face the full force of the test. Now he was trapped by his own words. If he backed down, he would look weak. If he proceeded, he would be releasing more beasts that would likely submit just like the first three. Dalnim's scales darkened with emotion. Then he made a choice born from anger and pride. Release them all. Every beast at once. I want to see this human face the full arena. If he survives that, then I will personally support human membership. Byung-ho's voice came back shocked. All of them. That is 37 combat beasts. That has never been done. The arena might not survive the damage. The force fields might fail under the stress. I do not care, Dalnim said. Do it now, Hyorin grabbed the railing. You are going to kill him. This is murder, not a trial. This is the arena of proving, Dalnim said coldly. If humans are as special as you claim, let their champion prove it. Arena Master, proceed. In the control room, Byung-ho hesitated for only a moment. Then his duty overrode his doubt. He was the Arena Master. A council member had given a direct order during an official trial. He had to follow it. His hands moved across the controls. Every gate in the arena began to open. All 12 gates. Some held multiple beasts. The sound was incredible. Metal grinding, force fields dropping, and beneath it all the roars and screams and calls of creatures that had been waiting in darkness. Creatures that were hungry for combat. Creatures that existed only to kill. They poured out of the gates like a flood. Creatures with scales and fur and chitin. Creatures that walked and flew and crawled. Creatures from worlds where the sun burned with radiation, and the air was poison and the ground was sharp as glass. Every one of them a perfect predator. Every one of them trained to attack anything that moved. The crowd's noise reached a level that made the arena walls vibrate. This was not excitement anymore. This was horror. Even species that hated humanity did not want to watch this. It was too much. Too unfair. One being against 37 monsters. Taesung stood in the center of the arena. The three submitted beasts were still near him, but they moved aside as the wave approached. Not fleeing. Just making space. Taesung did not run. Did not try to defend himself. He simply stood and waited. His breathing was slow and steady. His heart rate was calm. His eyes tracked the approaching horde without panic. The first wave of beasts reached him. 10 creatures moving at full speed. Claws extended, teeth bared. Death in animal form. The cameras focused tight on Taesung's face. on what would surely be the final moment of his life. The moment when human arrogance met the cold reality of nature's perfect killers. But the moment never came. The first creature stopped. Then the second. Then all 10. They formed a rough circle around Tae-sung. Some stopped so suddenly they skidded in the sand. Others managed to slow more gracefully. But all of them stopped. And as the second wave arrived and then the third, the same pattern repeated. Stop, slow, submit. Within 2 minutes, all 37 combat beasts were in the arena, all of them surrounding the lone human, and every single one of them was on the ground with their heads lowered. Some lay flat. Some sat back on their haunches. Some folded their wings or curled their tails. But all of them showed the same message in their body language. Submission, complete and absolute submission. The arena fell silent again. This silence was different from before. This was the silence of a galaxy, realizing it had misunderstood something fundamental, that somewhere in the development of life and intelligence and civilization, humans had evolved or learned or become something that other species had missed. They were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but they were something that made every predator instinct in the universe recognize them as alpha. Tae-sung began to walk, slowly, calmly, through the crowd of submitted beasts. They parted for him like water. Some made soft sounds as he passed, sounds of respect or greeting. He reached the center of the arena and stopped. Then he looked up at the viewing box, at the council members staring down in shock, at Dalnim, who had gone very still and quiet, at Hyorin, who had tears running down her face. Tae-sung raised one hand. Not in triumph, just in acknowledgement. The trial was over. He had survived, and more than survived. He had proven something that would change the galaxy forever, that humanity's real power was not in their technology or their weapons or their ships. It was in their nature. The nature of a species that every predator in existence would recognize as the ultimate alpha. The emergency council session was called 6 hours after the arena trial. In that time, the footage had been analyzed by scientists from every member species. Biologists and psychologists and military strategists all tried to explain what they had witnessed. None of them could. The theories ranged from reasonable to ridiculous. Pheromones, psychic ability, hidden technology, mass hallucination. But none of the theories held up under examination. The council chamber was more crowded than usual. Representatives who normally sent deputies were present in person. This was too important to miss. At the center of the chamber stood Tae-sung. He still wore his arena clothes. The sand had been brushed off, but the fabric was stained with sweat and dust. He looked tired but calm, like someone who had just finished a long shift at work, not someone who had faced certain death. Dalnim was the first to speak. His voice was tight with barely controlled anger. Explain what happened in that arena, and do not insult us with claims that you did nothing. Every scan we performed showed no technology, no drugs, no neural manipulation, yet 37 combat beasts submitted to you without a fight. So explain, what did you do? Tae-sung looked at him for a long moment, then he shrugged. I stood there. I breathed. I stayed calm. That is all. That is not an answer, Dalnim said. It is the only answer I have, Tae-sung replied. I did what any human would do with aggressive animals. I showed them I was not prey. I showed them I was alpha. They responded the way animals respond to alphas. They submitted. Those were not animals, another council member said. Those were engineered combat beasts. They have been trained to kill. They have neural programming that makes them aggressive. They should not be capable of submission. Everything with a brain is capable of submission, Tae-sung said. Every predator understands hierarchy. You can train them to be aggressive, but you cannot remove their instincts. And their instincts told them I was something they should not challenge. Why? Dalnim demanded. Why would creatures from different worlds all have the same instinct about humans? You have never encountered most of those species before. How could they recognize you as alpha? Tae-sung took a breath. Because Earth was a death world. Not the deadliest in the galaxy, but deadly enough. For millions of years, humans evolved alongside other predators. We competed with them for food and territory. We were not the strongest or the fastest, but we developed something else. We learned to outlast them, to understand them, to dominate them without fighting. He paused, organizing his thoughts. The chamber was completely silent. On Earth, Humans practiced something called persistence hunting. We would chase prey for days, not fast running, just steady pursuit. The prey would run until it collapsed from exhaustion. We became the predator that never stopped, that never gave up, that was always there. That kind of pressure does something to other species. It makes them see you differently. A human stood up from one of the observer seats. His name was Wu Jin, and he was a xenobiologist who had been studying galactic life forms for the past decade. He had been silent until now, but his face showed excitement. "May I speak, council members?" The council leader gestured permission. Wu Jin stepped forward with a datapad in his hands. "I have been reviewing Earth's evolutionary history. Tae-sung is correct about persistence hunting, but that is only part of the story. Humans also domesticated other predators. Wolves became dogs. Large cats became house pets. Horses that could kill with a kick learned to carry humans on their backs. Birds of prey learned to hunt for human masters." He activated a hologram above his datapad. It showed various Earth animals. Dogs sitting calmly beside humans. Cats sleeping in human homes. Horses pulling carts. Eagles landing on human arms. This is not normal in galactic terms. Most species keep animals as livestock or guard creatures, but humans make companions of predators. They form emotional bonds with creatures that should be dangerous, and those creatures accept human dominance without being forced. Dalneem stared at the images. "You are saying humans have some kind of natural ability to dominate other species." "Not dominate," Wu Jin corrected. "Integrate into pack hierarchies. Humans do not conquer other predators through force. They become part of the pack structure and naturally rise to alpha position. Other predators recognize this and accept it. It is built into their instincts." He changed the hologram to show brain scans. "I have compared the neural patterns of the arena beasts before and after encountering Tae-sung. Their fear response did activate initially, but then something else happened. The part of their brain that recognizes pack hierarchy overrode the aggression programming. They saw Tae-sung as a dominant pack member, someone to submit to, not attack. That should not work across species," an insectoid council member said. "Pack dynamics are specific to each evolutionary line. A creature from one world should not recognize pack signals from a creature from another world." "Normally, yes," Wu Jin agreed, "but certain signals appear to be universal among predators. Body language, breathing patterns, eye contact, the way a creature holds itself. Humans have learned to master these signals, not through technology, through millions of years of living alongside other predators and learning their language." Hyorin stood up. She had been listening carefully to everything. "Every species in this council evolved specific advantages. The Krellin have their armor and strength. The Sith have their speed and reflexes. The Varn have their hive mind coordination. Humans evolved something different. We evolved the ability to become alpha in any pack structure we encounter. It is our survival trait." The chamber erupted in noise. Council members arguing with each other. Some seemed excited by this revelation. Others seemed threatened. Dalneem's voice cut through the chaos. "If what you say is true, then humans are more dangerous than any warrior species. They could walk into our security facilities and take control of our guard animals. They could dominate our military beasts. They could disrupt our entire defense infrastructure. Or," Hyorin said calmly, "we could help you train those creatures better. We could teach your handlers to communicate with aggressive animals. We could solve problems that have cost your species resources and lives. This ability is not a weapon. It is a skill, one we are willing to share." A long silence followed. The council members looked at each other, some with suspicion, some with consideration. Finally, the council leader spoke. She was an ancient being from a species that valued wisdom over strength. "This council will vote on human membership. But first I have a question for the human champion." She looked at Tae-sung directly. "Did you know this would work? When you volunteered for the arena, did you know the beasts would submit to you?" Tae-sung considered the question. "I thought it might work. My grandfather trained rescue dogs. He taught me about animal behavior, about reading body language, about staying calm under pressure. I have been around aggressive animals my whole life. I learned that if you approach them correctly, most of them would rather submit than fight. Fighting is dangerous even for predators, so they look for signals that someone else is alpha. If you give those signals clearly enough, they accept it." "And if you had been wrong?" the council leader asked. "If the beasts had attacked instead of submitting," Tae-sung shrugged slightly, "then I would have died. But someone had to try, and I figured if anyone could do it, it would be a human. This is what we do. What we have always done. We make friends with things that should be enemies. We become alpha to creatures that should be threats. It is so normal to us that we did not realize it was unusual. The council leader nodded slowly. Then she called for the vote. The chamber fell silent as the representatives made their decisions. One by one, the votes were registered. When the final count appeared, Hyorin felt her breath catch. The result was overwhelming. Humanity had been granted full council membership. Not just barely passed with strong support from most species, but there was more. The council leader stood to announce additional conditions. Humanity will be granted membership with special designation. They will have oversight of all arena facilities and combat beast programs across council space. They will establish training programs for animal handlers from all species. They will share their knowledge of predator psychology and pack dynamics. In return, they will have full voting rights and access to all council resources. Dalneem sat in his seat, scales dark with emotion. He had tried to humiliate humanity and instead had given them power and prestige. He had tried to prove they were weak and instead had revealed they possessed an ability no other species had. He said nothing. There was nothing left to say. After the session ended, Hyorin found Tai Sung in a quiet corridor. She wanted to thank him, to tell him he had changed everything for their species. But when she reached him, he was checking his communicator with a slight frown. "Something wrong?" she asked. "My cargo route," he said. "I am 6 days behind schedule. I need to contact my dispatcher and explain the delay." Hyorin stared at him. "You just changed galactic history. You proved humanity deserves a place in the council, and you are worried about your delivery schedule." Taesung looked up from his communicator. "Someone has to deliver those supplies. The mining colony is waiting for their equipment." 1 year after Earth withdrew from the council, the galaxy looked different. Not physically. The stars had not moved. The planets still orbited their suns, but the political map had been redrawn in ways no one had predicted. The council debated for weeks after Thresh returned with his report. The chamber was divided. Ambassador Velthar led the hardline faction. They demanded military action. Humanity had defied council authority. That could not be tolerated. Other species might follow Earth's example. The entire council system could collapse if they showed weakness. But Observer Kern spoke for the moderate faction. He argued for accepting Earth's proposal. A war would cost thousands of lives and massive resources, and the outcome was uncertain at best. The humans had proven they were technologically advanced and strategically prepared. Better to establish clear boundaries than risk everything on pride. The debates grew heated. Some species threatened to leave the council if military action was not taken. Others promised to withdraw support if war was declared. The unity that had held the council together for centuries was fracturing. While the council argued, humanity continued building. New colonies appeared in distant systems. The quantum gate network expanded. Trade with non-council species increased. Earth was not waiting for permission. They were simply doing what they wanted in their own territories. Finally, the hardliners forced a decision. A battle group would be sent to test human defenses, not a full invasion force. Just enough ships to probe Earth's military capabilities and demonstrate council resolve. If the humans backed down, negotiations could proceed from strength. If they fought, the council would know what they faced. The battle group consisted of 47 warships, the best the council could field. They were led by a veteran admiral from a species that had fought in every council military action for the past 2 centuries. He was experienced, professional, and confident. The target was a human colony on the edge of their territory, a small world with maybe 1 million inhabitants, lightly defended according to council intelligence. The plan was simple: jump in, demonstrate overwhelming force, demand the colony submit to council inspection, then leave. A show of strength without actual combat. The battle group jumped to the target system. They emerged from FTL in standard formation, sensors activated, weapons powered but not targeting. They broadcast the standard message demanding compliance, and Admiral Taesung's silent fleet was waiting for them. The human ships appeared on sensors all at once. They had been there the whole time, running in stealth mode. Now they revealed themselves. Over 100 warships in perfect formation, arranged in a defensive screen between the council fleet and the colony. The council admiral stared at his displays. His tactical officer gave him the analysis quickly. The human ships were larger. Their power signatures were stronger. They had superior positioning, and they outnumbered the Council force more than 2-1. No shots were fired. No threats were issued. The human fleet simply held position, silent, ready, waiting. The Council Admiral knew a professional military when he saw one. These were not colonists playing soldier. This was a real fleet with real capability. He could order an attack. His ships would fight bravely, but the battle would be a slaughter. His force would be destroyed, and the colony would remain untouched. He opened a channel to the human flagship. A voice responded immediately. Admiral Tae-sung speaking. You are in violation of human territorial sovereignty. I strongly recommend you withdraw. The Council Admiral considered his options. He had been sent to demonstrate strength. Instead, he had found himself outmaneuvered and outgunned. Pride demanded he do something. Wisdom suggested retreat. He chose wisdom. The battle group withdrew to the system edge and held position. For 3 days, the standoff continued. The human fleet never moved, never powered down, never showed any sign of backing away. During those 3 days, the Council Admiral's analysts studied the human ships constantly. They measured energy outputs. They analyzed hull configurations. They ran combat simulations. The conclusions were unanimous and troubling. The human vessels had technological advantages in weapons range, shield strength, and maneuverability. Their quantum gate system meant they could bring reinforcements from across their territory in minutes. A war against Earth would require committing the entire Council fleet. Even then, victory was not guaranteed. Losses would be catastrophic. The Council Admiral sent his report back to headquarters. He recommended accepting Earth's proposal for non-aggression. His military assessment was clear. Humanity could not be intimidated. They could not be easily defeated. The Council had 2 choices: peace as equals, or a war that might destroy both sides. The battle group jumped back to Council space. The human fleet remained on station for another week. Then they dispersed, disappearing into the depths of space as silently as they had appeared. 3 days after the battle group returned, the Council held an emergency session. Ambassador Velthar tried to rally support for continued resistance, but most species had read the military reports. The cost was too high, the risks were too great, and increasingly representatives were asking the question no one wanted to answer. Why were they fighting this at all? Earth had not attacked anyone. They had not seized Council territory. They had not threatened other species. They had simply built their own civilization in places the Council never wanted. The only thing humanity had done wrong was succeed without asking permission first. The vote was surprisingly lopsided. 58 species voted to accept Earth's non-aggression proposal. 12 voted against. 3 abstained. The measure passed easily. Velthar resigned his position the next day. He had lost credibility and influence. The species that had followed his hardline stance found themselves isolated. New leadership emerged in the Council. Pragmatists who understood the galaxy had changed. Trade between human and Council space began cautiously. Earth sold resources and certain technologies. They proved to be fair dealers. Prices were reasonable. Quality was excellent. Delivery was reliable. Some species that had mocked humanity a year earlier now competed for human trade contracts. The formal non-aggression treaty was signed 6 months after the standoff. Representatives from both sides met in neutral space. The ceremony was brief and professional. No grand speeches. No promises of eternal friendship. Just a practical agreement between equals. Secretary General Kwan Ho gave a rare public address after the treaty was finalized. He spoke from Earth, his message broadcast across human space. His words were simple and direct. Humanity never wanted conflict. We sought recognition through diplomacy for 30 years. When words failed, we chose to prove ourselves through achievement. We built, we grew, we prepared, not to threaten others, but to stand independent. Today we have peace not because we begged for it, but because we earned the respect necessary to maintain it. 3 months after the treaty, Dae-ho returned to the Council chamber. Not as a petitioner, not as a junior member seeking approval, as ambassador from an independent human government. He walked to the same platform where he had been humiliated a year earlier. The chamber was full again, but this time no one laughed. No one mocked. They watched him with careful attention and new respect. Dae-ho's statement was brief. Humanity is open to dialogue as equals. We will cooperate where interests align. We will respect Council sovereignty as we expect ours to be respected. Nothing more, nothing less. Thank you for your attention." He left the platform. The Council members sat in silence. Some felt shame for how they had treated Earth before. Others felt resentment at being outmaneuvered. But all of them understood the message. Humanity was here to stay, not as subordinates. As equals, observer Kern watched Deho leave. He felt a strange emotion, relief mixed with admiration. The humans had taught the Council a valuable lesson. Assumptions were dangerous. Arrogance was foolish. Respect had to be earned, but it could not be demanded from those strong enough to stand alone. Later, Kern wrote a private report for his government. He analyzed what had happened over the past year, how humanity had turned mockery into motivation, how they had used silence as a weapon, how they had prepared so thoroughly that when the moment came they held all the advantages. His conclusion was simple. The Council had not lost a war with humanity. They had lost before the war could even start. Earth had won through patience, planning, and the quiet accumulation of power. By the time the Council realized their mistake, it was too late to do anything but accept reality. On the far edge of human space, Chief Engineer Hyrin stood in the control room of a new quantum gate station. This was the 307th gate in the network. It connected to a system no one had explored before. A system full of resources and potential. She ran the final system checks. Everything was optimal. She activated the gate. Space folded in on itself. A portal opened to somewhere new. Her assistant looked at her with excitement. "Where next?" Hyrin smiled. She pulled up a star chart showing unexplored regions. There were thousands of systems out there, waiting, empty, ready for humanity's next step. "Everywhere," she replied. "We go everywhere." The gate hummed with power. Ships began moving through. Colony vessels, survey craft, construction platforms. Humanity was expanding again, not asking permission, not seeking approval,